The first person to ask for it here. Who wants a game? Come on. It's Neuralia's give. Nobody wants a game today? Okay, we'll move on. Boy, okay. Alexandra, you got it. Alexandra. Let's see. What do we got? We got 4 possible games. I got a platformer. I got what's this? Action indie adventure simulation. Looks kind of farmy, maybe. What else? I got looks like indie adventure RPG. Those are the keywords. Indie adventure, but it's a platformer. Yeah, that's a platformer if I ever saw one. And oh, you don't want that one. That one looks like crap. What do you say, Alexandra? Platformer, farmy thing, or adventure game? All indies. Come on, you're taking up valuable class time. Farmy. Okay. Send me an email address privately. The farmy one looks very cute too. Okay. Copy. Oh, lost it. Gift to a friend, send email. Control V. Neuralia, you could have had a game called Forager. It's a 2D open world game inspired by exploration, farming, and crafting games such as Stardew Valley, Terraria, and Zelda. Very cute looking. Okay. Done there. Next. Thank Neuralia, Alexandra. Neuralia helped you out. Okay. So business today. I have new assignments. These are big ones, not just little write clubs or quizzes. So I'm going to share this with you. I'm doing this first, even though I thought about it and we probably should have had talk some more about D&D and then go into this, but I want to make sure this is front and center, so and I don't shortchange it for time. So I am going to share good old Canvas. There's good old Canvas. Oh, look at that. Write a brief Pathfinder adventure. That's left over. Oh, look who came to visit. Hello. She just got a bath last night. Oh, she's already got twigs. What's with the twigs, pups? This is Suki. Wait. There we go. That is Suki. Say hello. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to look at cute dogs. Hello. Can I have a kiss? No. No. Okay. You're just here because you think there might be food. Okay. Sorry, that was a brief dog moment. Going back. This is a brief Dungeons and Dragons adventure. Okay, we're going to save that. Okay, so you are limited to 6 pages. You can use the dual column format that is in the adventure that you read last night. I've also included 2 other adventures that are free for you to download to see examples of how they're formatted. Okay. You don't 6 pages and a map or maps. Okay. So, for instance, in Gnome Improvement, there are 2 maps, actually 3 maps. One map of the Gnome Village, one map of the upper ruins, the ruined house, and then one map of like the little caverns below. They don't count towards your 6 pages. You can draw me pretty pictures all day. I like pretty pictures. I look at them and go, ooh. If you have no artistic skill whatsoever, that's fine. Get some graph paper. Be an engineer. Use the lines on the graph paper. Or open up your favorite drawing or painting application, turn on the grid, and draw or paint to the grid. The one thing that bugs me is when you turn in maps that honestly a 6-year-old would do better. Like it's not just that you don't have any artistic ability, it's that this was obviously done in the hour before it was due, probably in the 10 minutes before it was due. You scribbled some lines on a piece of notebook paper, took a picture with your phone camera, and called it good. Now, there's nothing wrong with getting out some graph paper, making a map to the lines on the graph paper, and then taking a photo of it to include in your assignment. Please do that. I like hand-drawn stuff. What I object to, or not object, but what makes me sigh is the slapdash nature of some of the drawings that I've seen over the years. You are careful people. Do your best. That's all I ask. So it's 6 pages of text. If you format it like the examples, it's fine. In fact, the adventure as written, Gnome Improvement, is, I believe, 7 pages plus all the characters. You don't have to provide player characters. Assume that players will make their own, or you can download 8 billion player characters. But that they will have some sort of fighter, rogue, cleric, and or wizard. So problems should be solvable by the basic skills of Dungeons and Dragons. Oop, I got a chat. Woohoo! If we make the oh, by the way, Neuralia, you're private, so nobody else can see that. If we make this adventure, would we be allowed to run it? Yeah, sure. Go nuts. I can't tell you how many D&D groups and campaigns have come out of this class over the years. Over and over, I have heard people say, yeah, we started playing for the class and then we kept getting together, and it's been 3 years that we've been playing. So feel free to keep playing D&D for the rest of your lives. I played D&D for the first time when I was 14. That was a long time ago. I'm 56 now. I played last night. So it was 1978. It was a year after D&D came out, because D&D was released in 1977. In fact, wait. Well, I just pulled out the first book that came to hand. It is my original monster manual. This is what the original monster manual, see, it's seen better days. There's a price tag on it. $6.50. Good times. Good times. And look at these phenomenal illustrations. Anyway, Avenue Victor Hugo. That's a bookstore somewhere. Okay, so assume so those of you who have played for years, this will be a somewhat easier assignment for you than the people who have never played before last week. The people who, so I'm mostly speaking to the people who've never played before and explaining how to do this. Assume you're going with first level. Writing a first level adventure is easier than writing a 16th level adventure. Of course, if you're writing a first level adventure, your stakes are going to be somewhat lower than 16th, right? Just because first level people are not as powerful, and you basically, there's a difficulty scale, a difficulty curve that goes up. D&D is often called the game of murder hobos. Does it have to relate to the characters that we wrote a week or so before, or is it a brand new story? It's a brand new story. Make up your own stuff. That's Andrew's stuff. Come up with your own stuff. If you are experienced, if you've been playing this since you were, a tot, because your dad started you, basically had a child because they wanted someone to play D&D with. Don't gasp, that's happened. And you've been playing D&D since you could talk, feel free to, make a 5th level adventure or what have you. Are we doing it with our partners? No, this is, everybody writes their own. So think about this. The storytelling in Dungeons and Dragons is one to many, or it's not even one to many. Instead of having 2 partners, you have 2 sides, one side of which has 1 person and the other side has 4 or 5 or 3 or whatever. And you're telling that story together, and there's a give and take. And even these people, this group of players have input on each other's stories, but the act of playing is the part of telling the story. This is really writing the framework, writing the scaffolding on which that story can be told during a play session. Okay, is it a one shot? And if not, are we allowed to have our players level up between sessions? You only have 6 pages. So it is a one shot. So generally what happens is you write an adventure. They complete the adventure and then they level up. Or you want to play with all that XP and stuff, feel free on your own time. But this is 6 pages. Think about how much you accomplished in the one shot that you played. That's about how much you can expect to get done in 6 pages. So for monsters, use the SRD. And you'll recall, in fact, I should probably put, so if we go to 5esrd.com, I think I've shown you this before. This is 5esrd. I need to know about monsters. Well, let's look for monsters. They should be here. Those are races, classes, monsters, and foes. Here we go. Here is every type. Do we have every monster? We used to. Conditions, diseases, variant rules, 5th edition SRD. Yeah. Right. Basics, magic, monsters and foes. Monsters database. Here we go. Here's every monster in D&D. Okay. So feel free to look through here. But for instance, if you're writing an adventure for first level, well, actually, let's go with monsters database. The one that everybody, well, hey, let's look at a demon knight. A demon knight has 85 hit points. He's got an armor class of 17. He's got +5 to hit. He's got innate spell casting. So think about the gnomes you played. How long would they last against this guy? Probably not long. This guy would probably wipe the floor with them. So you don't want to say, okay, they have to fight a demon knight. And this is kind of the interesting challenge of writing an adventure, is saying, well, what's an interesting story that we can tell that is doable by the players. And one thing that you see, this CR, monsters by CR. Are we allowed to have our players level up between sessions? Are we allowed to slightly alter monsters like Gnome Improvement did? Yes, you are. But so here, let me go back to these monsters. You can see by CR. CR stands for challenge rating, right? And you can see challenge 0, challenge 1/8, challenge 1/4, challenge 1/2, challenge 1. And it goes up all the way to challenge 20 plus, right? And ancient brass dragon is challenge 20 plus. So I gotta say that this math is approximate at best, in that they say that, okay, your level is your challenge rating. So if you have 4 first level players playing together, the challenge rating of that group is about 4, right? So in order to challenge them, you want a more or less equal challenge. So you could do 4 challenge 1 monsters. So you get 4 Dwergar, which are dark evil dwarves. And you have 4 of these guys fight your 4 player characters. But here, like challenge 1/2, you'd need let's 8 dust methods. Oh, methods. Why variants? Where are they? Huh, not here. Well, let's pick something else. 8 rust monsters, who have a challenge rating of 1/2. Well, okay, that's a lot of rust monsters, and rust monsters would basically eat all their metal things. So anybody swinging a sword would make the sword rust and pretty much wipe out their equipment, which would be bad the next thing around. So take these challenge ratings with a grain of salt. Mix and match to tell a good story. Don't send first level characters up against ancient dragons. They will not survive. Then again, I'm looking first and foremost that you are telling a decent story. I'm not going to concentrate on the numbers so much. If you're in the ballpark, great, fine. DM can fudge things. If it's very obvious that they're mismatched, I will say so and point that out, that this is not a viable opponent, and we wouldn't do well playing this. Mostly I'll be looking for a coherent story. Questions to ask. Why are we doing this? What's the story hook? Who asked us to do it? And what's going on here? Okay. I think about what happened in the environment to make it the way it is. Let me edit this because I wrote this last year, and they played a different thing. Think about the ruins. The ruins in Gnome Improvement, or why the elevator was broken, right? What happened? What is the motivation for the bad guys? What does Lucio, forget her name. I'm bad with names. I'm sorry. Why is she acting the way she did? Are they just hanging out there? Do they live there? What are those 4 commoners doing there? What are they doing when you're not there? How do they eat? How do they go to the bathroom? You ever see a toilet in a dungeon? Sometimes they will describe that there's rat droppings in the corners. Rats get to poop. Why not people? So here I wrote this again. Consider the hideout and how long they could stay there comfortably. What does everyone do when the guy in the next room is getting slaughtered by invading adventurers? So if a fight breaks out with Lushmo, do the commoners come in? What if they're hidden in the closet? Did anybody get the commoners hidden in the closet? Can the various opponents hear from room to room? Is every room soundproofed? Honestly, an older adventure that we ran was called We Be Goblins, and you start out everybody's a goblin, and you start out fighting a horse because goblins don't like horses. Horses don't like goblins either. So you're fighting a horse, and generally that commotion will make some dogs start barking. The dogs are on chains. Once the dogs start barking, the person who lives in the houseboat will come out. She's a druid. She will let the dogs off the chains to attack the goblins if they're still involved with fighting the horse, that now the goblins have to fight a horse and a couple of dogs, and then she will call her pet frog, and the pet frog and the druid will come over, and suddenly instead of fighting just a horse, you're fighting a horse, two dogs, a druid, and a giant frog, and that might be too much. So um, uh, you might want to take into account when you're writing it just how far things are spaced between each other, so that if a fight breaks out, the next thing doesn't hear it. Or maybe you want that big scrum, because honestly they usually would get through fighting the horse, or run from the horse and run right into the dogs, and then have to deal with the druid while the dogs were still on their chains. So um, think about that. Let me save this. No. Do the bad guys have a larger plan? Why are the cultists killing people? Does the evil wizard need another 5,000 gold piece? Uh, so what are the bad guys doing aside from waiting for the good guys to show up? Afford opportunities for everyone to shine. Um, so in the 4 p.m. class, when I asked them um, what they didn't like, if anybody didn't like D&D, or if they didn't like their experience, one of the DMs, McKenna, who's also the TA, said, I really don't like combat in D&D. I'd much rather talk. And the moving the little pieces around is boring for me. So and that's okay. There are opportunities for talking. There are opportunities for, you can do anything in Dungeons and Dragons. You can um, uh, plan a heist. You can uh, um, kidnap a princess from her kidnappers. You can what else have I done? Sneak, climb. You can solve a murder mystery, right? I've done that, where you're all in a mansion, and Baron von Munchausen was killed, and you all have to walk around talking to people in order to solve who killed them. So give everybody a chance to shine. Rogues are skills based. Um, Casters are obviously spell based, and fighters are combat based. And if they never get to fight, they're bored. So, and write the ending. What happens? What happens if they succeed? What happens if they don't? What's the bigger picture? So, for your adventure, you should have the following sections: an overview. Tell me what this is about. Somebody else, two other people. 5e Tools has a feature to let you see projected stats of a monster if you increase and decrease the challenge of it. Oh, that's great. I honestly haven't played with all their online stuff. So the other thing, though, is you only have 6 pages, and if you spend your space on big stat blocks, you have less room for story. So if you use the monsters as they're detailed in the monster manual, or the SRD, you could just say 5 Dwergar, and then drop the link in there so that the DM can just click on that and go get all the stats they need. Whereas if you start modifying monsters, then you have to include the stats in the adventure, and there's less room for other stuff. So it's trade-off. So I would say use modified monsters sparingly, because you need the space to describe the world and tell the story. So we need an overview. We need the section where you explain to us how to get the adventurers to do the quest. Then you need the adventure itself, including basically the setup, the journey. Hey, it's sounding like a hero's journey, isn't it? Huh. The journey to the bad place, what's in the bad place, the big bad final battle, and what happens afterwards. So ending the adventure and maps and handouts. You will not need some of the examples have these sections. You don't need how to adjust the encounter. So basically a lot of published adventures have this was written for 4th level people, but if you have 8th level people, you can still run it for them. You just have to do these things. If you see that, you don't have to worry about any of that. That's all stat stuff. This is a one shot, so we don't care about XP. They're only ever going to play this one time, and nobody levels during a one shot. Any info about the Adventurers Leagues, DMing the adventure, or other peripherals, Adventurers League is their ongoing organized play thing. You don't have to give advice to DMs, that sort of thing. And I already talked, if you are using a standard monster, you do not need to provide all the stats for it, just hit points and a link to the monster listed on the SRD. If you have a named character with class levels, then you do need to list their stats. I need the weapons they use and spells they know and have prepared, and anything else they are carrying, along with kind of tactics. So that's another thing. Anatomy of a room. When you're writing, let me stop the share. Let me share good old whiteboard share. I've got, yes, I am super awesome artist. So this is my map here. I'll even do that. And this one is the special room because it's not square. And there's a door here and a door here. Anyway, so what you do, so this is a 3-room dungeon, not a lot of choice here. What you do is you put a number in each room, 2 and 3. And that way, now on the map, I've got a key. So I look in my text and I see, and this is just the section that's kind of like the dungeon or the encounter. This can be outside too. You have a clearing in the woods, and there's a cave on one side, and there's a pile of logs on the other side, and there's a bear pit in the middle. And you can label each thing with a number so that in the text, you put 1, and in the text I describe. So if this is the text elsewhere, entrance hall, you give it a name. It is the entrance hall, and then you start writing. And the first thing you do is the description of the room or the area that the DM would read aloud to their players. You usually italicize this. Again, look at the examples. So in this room, you see stairs coming down. You just came down these stairs from the outside. It is dusty and dirty, and there are broken pots all over the ground, right? So you start out with what the players see when they enter that room. Then you give the DM information about what's in that room that the players may not see, but the DM needs to know. So there's a pit trap in the upper left-hand corner, or in the northeast corner. There are 4 giant spiders up in the roof that will pounce on anybody who walks through this room. And essentially, you anything they need to know that isn't readily available to the players is after what is read to the players. Then you say there are monsters, right? And you list the monster, 4 giant spiders, see monster manual, or SRD, and give me a link, or monster manual page 300 or whatever it is. And then tactics for the monsters. This is their nest, and they will fight to the death to protect their eggs. Or they are mercenaries hired by a local baron, and if half of their number is wounded or killed, or if they go to half their hit points, they will run. So give them some tactics. If they're spellcasters, they will lead off with magic missile, and if put in a corner, they will nuke the whole place with acid cloud. I don't know. I'm making stuff up. So some tactics for the monsters to give the DM a kind of blueprint for how these people would fight if there's going to be combat, or instructions for if the players manage to talk to this particular person. They can be persuaded with a I don't know, with whatever skill. I've been playing a different system, and all my like a persuasion skill. I don't even remember if D&D has a persuasion skill, but with a persuasion roll of 15 or better, they are happy to listen to whatever you diplomacy roll. Is that diplomacy is D&D? Wow, I'm rusty. I too many systems, and I get them all confused, right? Every third turn, a random monster gets a level up mid-battle. It's persuasion in 5th edition. Thank you, Lyra. So you you give the options for what could happen with the sentient beings or non-sentient beings in this room, and then list any. Okay, so you've killed whatever monsters are in this room, or you've convinced the mercenaries that maybe they're better off going home. There's treasure in this room. What is in this room? If they get a search of 12 or better, then they find a golden ring in the dust in the broken pots in this room. So that's kind of the anatomy of a room. Is you go through, it's what you see when you walk into the room, what the DM needs to know, monsters that are in the room, tactics for the monsters, and then treasure. That breaks that down. Okay, so but wait, there's more. So that's due Monday at midnight. And then Wednesday at midnight. And I used to make this due on Monday too, and everybody freaked out that I was having two big assignments due the same time. But I really kind of consider them the same assignment. So one of the things that the IMGD program wants you to do is make a portfolio. And one of the things they have charged us as faculty with, actually we have charged it because I was part of this decision, is that every class should have at least one portfolio piece, one piece that students can decide to put in their portfolio. If so, the idea being that if you're really proud of this, it should be in your portfolio, right? So make a portfolio page. If you already have a portfolio, great. You can use the same template you've been using for the rest of your work. If you don't have a portfolio yet, you should start one. And this should be one page on your portfolio. I will not be judging your entire portfolio. I will just be looking at this page. But this should be available. And, you know, after this is over, if you don't like this, take it off your portfolio. But this is my opportunity. I'm giving you an opportunity to build your portfolio here. So you're going to make a web page using this adventure. The page should have the title of the adventure, a link to download a PDF of the adventure, including all maps and drawings, a brief summary of the adventure, what makes this adventure unique, a little bit of marketing copy maybe there, and the art and maps relating to the adventure as highlights. Really what I'm looking for is a cool picture, a paragraph of text describing what this is, and a link to the PDF. That'll get you a pass. The prettier you make it, the more enticing you write your description, the more impressed I will be. But you're going to turn this adventure into a PDF to be able to be downloaded by anyone. So if you are making maps, if you are scribbling maps on note paper, and you think that's okay to include in your portfolio, more power to you. There are many map making tools available online, both free and paid. So maybe take a look around there. Feel free to use Wix, WordPress, Squarespace. If you want to get crazy with Tumblr, go nuts on Tumblr. That's fine. This one is due next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow. The idea being that on Monday you have the adventure done and written, and then you take the assets from your written adventure and you make a web page out of it. Seems cool. Seems fair. The adventure itself is worth 10 points. And the web page is worth 5 points. Okay. Any questions? Sounds good. Okay. And I have no time to talk about. Oh, God. Okay. So I have no time to talk about the adventure as written versus the adventure as run. So that's what I'm going to be starting with on Thursday. I'm sorry. I thought I could get through this in like 20 minutes, a half hour, but there's a lot of stuff with this assignment, and I don't want to shortchange the assignment. That's why I started with that. Second, Stanley Parable beginner's guide and all that. I have me playing it. I've posted YouTube videos on the, well, they're in the playlist. If you look in the game playthroughs playlist on the YouTube channel, you'll find all the games I play. But I posted a link to it in the Discord, so check there. Okay, so I will see you all on Thursday. Sorry I didn't get to talk about your adventures more. I want to hear about it. Okay. I'll see y'all Thursday. Bye. Suki says bye.